Thank you. So now it's time to introduce our speaker Spark, who will be on Zoom. So if you want to turn your chairs around, you can. So I'll let you get settled here before I introduce her. So her topic today is enabling presence, teachers of the modern Phoenix. So Reverend Trae Ashlie-Garen, who is it? Reverend Trae Ashlie-Garen. She is a non-executive philanthropic advisor, executive coach, and founder of the Eighth Flame Fellowship, an interspiritual facilitator organization that believes in the power of companion travelers to midwife humanity to unite through the transitions we are experiencing and are yet to experience as one species among many ecosystems of this planet. Our speaker believes that humanity stands at a crossroads as just one of the many ecosystems of this planet. We are being called to come into alignment with uncertainty and impermanence. Now, she asks, what will you choose? How will you choose? And how are you choosing now? So let's give a warm circle welcome to our speaker spark today, Trae.
Thank you so much. Good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are dialing in from. Welcome. Today, I'm beaming in via the interwebs from what's called Treaty 7 territory. It's a place where the Bow and the Elbow rivers meet in gentle confluence in a place known as Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Now, this city was founded because this place where my feet touch the ground has been a collective meeting place that combines different paths and different tribes. The stories of the Kainai, the Siksika, the Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, and the Stoney Nakoda peoples flow through this land, having nurtured it for thousands of years. It's a place where the rivers that flow here converge initially with turbulent turmoil and then eventually converge into one in order to flow forward. It's a metaphor that's as simple as it is prophetic, that we're here to receive, to respond, to practice being present to the invitations that exist in uncertainty and impermanence and the fullness of each moment. My parents were born here, as was I. 3 generations breathing the same air, touching the same earth, our roots intertwining with this sacred soil. And in my family, there lives a tender joke. And it was born from my grandmother's loving observation of, what's Trae up to now? My grandmother lived to see 100 summers, watching me ebb and flow through light and shadow over and over and over again. My early lessons in authenticity came from realizing that I do have a choice, even where most people perceive that obligation is the only answer. Like on my confirmation day, when at 13 years old, once considered an adult in the church, I promptly announced to my parents, yeah, I don't think this is my path. My parents, bless them, they understood. They didn't see in me rebellion, but rather a genuine seeker. And boy, did I seek. And by the age of 17, I thought I'd found in a fundamentalist church. I moved up the ranks quickly and became a youth leader at 19. And then one Friday, about 2 years later, I brought a Mormon friend to a gathering. And that Sunday, 6 adults cornered me, demanding apologies. I gathered my keys and my materials, placed them gently on the desk, and said, "Our relationship is complete." In both of these experiences, I learned what wasn't right, at least for me. And while me learning what a no looks like became the running theme for my life for decades to follow, another seed, virtually invisible to me, was also planted. One which pointed me to a much more potent lesson that would only finish gestating and is only now sprouting 33 years later. That saying no is often the first step in discovering what we're saying yes to. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me summarize more of the lessons and some of the lives and the teachers that I've had the honor and the privilege to learn from. And to do that, I'm going to use this ceremonial smudging fan that I had made. It's the story of my explorations and my evolution, and each element reminds me and speaks to me of a lesson that I've learned. The first element to contribute to this fan is a pussy willow branch. And this is one that was gifted to me by that same grandmother that I mentioned to you earlier, because she and I frequently walked the ridge of this river valley that I call home. It's been with me for decades. And it reminds me that no matter how long the winter, there's always spring. And when I say long winters, I do mean long. So the back of this fan, you'll see 3 turkey feathers, and they give stability to this fan. And each of these 3 represent the abundant gratitude that I feel for the 3 dark nights of the soul that I've distinctly gone through. Now, we call them episodes of depression. 3 times this teacher visited, each time bringing deeper darkness, and each time lasting not weeks, not months, but years. In my parents' basement, where I had no choice but to cocoon in profound stillness. But just as the lotus flower needs mud to grow into beauty, these times of darkness held within them, just like the tiny red rooster feathers, flickers of awareness and flickers of awakening. There are 2 eagle feathers in this fan, one from a mature eagle and one from a juvenile. These came to me from an Algonquin elder after my very first dark night of the soul. He gifted them to me during the few short months that we communed together, just walking the foothills in the Rockies. And we only had a few months together because then he passed. I was 28 at the time. And when he gifted me these feathers, he called me a steward of the people of the earth. I didn't understand him then. And it would take me another 28 years to even catch a glimpse of what it was that he meant. Because it's a puzzle. And it's a puzzle that still continues to reveal itself to this day. Then there's the deerskin. The deerskin is a gentle harbinger of regeneration, the new adventures that came with nomadic travel, which I did across this beautiful world for 4 solid years, from 2010 to 2013. From Australia to the US, to Italy, to the jungles of Kerala, Each journey became a meditation, and each step a lesson in yet more impermanence and wonderment. Learning that home isn't a place, but it's a way of being. Then there's the wolf fur. This was also gifted to me by my colleagues up in Edmonton when I came back to Canada, specifically to welcome me back to the pack after my travels. But this one probably means more to me now than it ever did. It's taken me over a full decade now to understand the absolute fierce loyalty that it represents. The epic dedication and totality with which I give myself over to be present in all my fullness to the relationships and to the deep intimacy that I'm here to show the world is not only possible, but probable. The ostrich feather in this fan teaches me about groundedness. Because sometimes that enthusiasm that I have and that totality will flow like a strong river. It's intense, it's loud, it's dramatic, and my passion can overwhelm like waves crashing on a shore. My intensity sometimes creates distance, especially when I seek connection. And because I have my own neurodiversity, I can miss subtle social and physical cues. It's why I so often feel pain when I see how we've built walls between ourselves and our true nature, and how the conditioning that society would have us locked into can keep us from truly seeing each other and receiving the gifts that lay in wait. And finally, the rhodonite at the base reminds me that I can still be human, that I can still slip into patterns of being judgmental and intolerant, especially when the structures and the systems that society accepts as just the way things are. This is where I feel injustices, when people try to take advantage of others. But there was also different learning as I moved through each depressive episode, and as the time it took to actively pursue my healing became longer and longer instead of shorter and shorter. And that was in witnessing others' discomfort with what I was going through. Being called toxic, erratic, as a way of blaming me for their need to walk away from me, often abruptly, and definitely most of the time without warning. The other side of the coin was that they had to fix, which essentially what wasn't broken, or they had to attempt to speed up the healing process because I wasn't being productive enough. Now, this never came from my family of origin, thank goodness, but inevitably that experience of others wound up teaching me compassion, which, trust me, doesn't come naturally to me. So going through those episodes made me see how at times I had been intolerant with others, and especially impatient with myself. Anyway, these dark nights of the soul, they taught me that healing doesn't always look like light. It taught me to receive the lessons that when things look most lost, how transformation isn't on a timeline, how it rests like a lump of coal surrenders to the pressure to become the diamond. Which brings me to my work of the last 32 years. Traversing 4 continents, working with over 500 clients across 33 industries. It was through the privilege of being granted a window into all their lives while navigating my own that I became and noticed what appeared to be a glass ceiling in all of us. It's when we give attention to how our language scaffolds meaning that we can peel away the layers of constructed realities and dogma, and it's when we return to the essence of life itself and what it means to be truly alive. Like shedding old skin, we can release the words that limit us, the thoughts that bind us, to touch something much more fundamental and more true. So for years at conferences and workshops, I would ask the same question. Who here can share a definition of the word receive without using the word give in it? This question became like a stone dropped in still water, creating ripples that would return to me years later. Through careful experimentation and deep listening, I, my clients, my colleagues, we discovered something truly fundamental, that receiving isn't secondary to giving. It's more like breathing. Just as a radio receives signals continuously, we are always receiving. And it was there, in the midst of exploring and experimenting, that over the course of 4 years, a definition emerged. And through collective wisdom, it came out as follows. An act of receiving is a use of the will to increase my availability to what I don't know yet. I'll repeat that. An act of receiving is a use of the will to increase my availability to what I don't know yet. So I invite you at this time to just breathe with me. Deep breath in through the nose, and soft and slow out through the mouth. Just to allow us just to center ourselves together again in this space. So why would I share all of this with you? Well, it's to illustrate that each one of us are like diamonds resting in shifting sand. Precious awareness cradled in impermanence. Like a phoenix, I've learned that with each ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning, and how behind every refusal lies a deeper affirmation, a stairway towards an undefined yes, for something better, something more, something different, something new. And understanding that that yes is truly undefined, which means that all we have is to simply receive. To receive what's right in front of us, regardless of whether that looks like what the world says it should or not. And that what emerges is a greater awareness of what it means to truly be and become present. Which raises the question, how do we actually get present? How do we separate ourselves from the distractions that keep us caught in the push-pull of life? The push from all those things that would tug and demand of you to do better, and the pull of all those shiny things that distract you to do less. How do you? Not fixating on the objects of our desire, but peeling away all the layers of the shoulds. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it involves taking in the moment as the moment, even if it looks unproductive or toxic or messy. To take in the fullness of the moment, to bring in all of the elements through the inhale, with sight, sound, taste, touch. And I just loved the opening today because she didn't know what I was going to say, but I'm literally saying to feel the wind, the earth, the fire, and the water, and the ether breathe you. Because when we connect to our senses, when we actually allow ourselves to feel, and when we don't construct narratives around those feelings, it makes all the difference. All we need to do is breathe and rest ourselves into a liminal state. Like autumn leaves, we fall. We compost the conditioning that no longer serves, and we return to our true nature. Now, many of us fear this letting go. It's living beyond our created systems and all the distractions, the preoccupations, the addictions, because it asks us to embrace uncertainty as our teacher. Yet in this very uncertainty lies our freedom. All of us are meant to receive each other, each of us. And in doing so, when we do it right, we receive ourselves. And we learn over and over that we're meant for something far more beautiful than we can imagine. We stand now at a great turning where our collective choices will shape the path ahead. It's true that even the smallest action done with great love can transform someone's world. And in my work, I walk beside journeyers who are coming to understand that they can't do things with great love unless they embrace presence as a practice. It's only with presence that we can learn to embrace change, impermanence, and uncertainty with more grace and ease. So that's what we do. I, my colleagues, my clients, we regularly practice together the art of listening deeply to what is right in front of us and to what is showing up alive in the moment. And there's where we find courage and wisdom. And it's something that can be accessed by all. We practice the art of presence because when we receive and reconcile ourselves with each other and to the earth in particular, we find ourselves in the process. We are one of many ecosystems, and we are being called into alignment now. How will you choose? What is the yes that you are becoming present to? And who will you buddy up with to practice regularly? To help lean into the practice that becomes a way of being and that shows others the way just by you showing up. I'm leaving you with this thought today. And with that, let's just take a deep breath in together again. Breathing in, receiving the moment, and breathing out, soft and slow, responding with gratitude. Thank you so much for the invitation, and thank you for walking this path with me.